The Seattle Seahawks continued their preparation for Sunday's game against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And so today we heard from Geno Smith, Rick Woolen, offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, and defensive coordinator Clint Hurtt. So let's do this. Let's go right to the B-roll. Let's hear from the players, the coaches, and also show you the team's latest injury.
Yeah, I think first of all, we got to execute, like you said. Third downs are very critical, and we've been talking about being better on those situations. So it really comes down to our execution, and for us, man, just keeping the one play at a time mentality, focusing on the task at hand, and then obviously going out there and making it happen.
Was the communication just not where it needs to be on third down against the Rams?
We just didn't execute. Didn't do a great job executing, especially in the second half. We just didn't get it done.
What do you take away from the second half? When you look at it, the things that happened, 12 yards of total offense in the half, only no first downs except for the one being penalty. What do you take from it?
3 possessions. I believe it was 3, and went 3 and out, maybe twice, I think, and then obviously, like you said, got the penalty on 1. So just came down to execution, which again we didn't do a great job of, but really looking forward to getting this next opportunity, and so I think we'll be better moving forward. Obviously, we've got to execute and do better. So it just comes down to us being connected and making the plays when they come.
What do you feel like the psyche of the team is right now?
It's good. We're obviously 0-1 is not the way we wanted to start, but no one's hanging their head. Everyone's looking at ways to improve, and really looking forward to going on the road in a tough environment and going out there and trying to get a win. I think everyone's really focused, huge sense of urgency, and we've been practicing. I think first of all we got to execute, like you said. Third downs are very critical, and we've been talking about being better on those situations. So it really comes down to our execution, and for us, man, just keeping the one play at a time mentality, focusing on the task at hand, and then obviously going out there and making it happen.
Was the communication just not where it needs to be on third down against the Rams?
We just didn't execute. Didn't do a great job executing, especially in the second half. We just didn't get it done.
What do you take away from the second half? When you look at it, the things that happened, 12 yards of total offense in the half, only no first downs except for the one being penalty. What do you take from it?
3 possessions. I believe it was 3, and went 3 and out, maybe twice, I think, and then obviously, like you said, got the penalty on 1. So just came down to execution, which again we didn't do a great job of, but really looking forward to getting this next opportunity, and so I think we'll be better moving forward. Obviously, we've got to execute and do better. So it just comes down to us being connected and making the plays when they come.
What do you feel like the psyche of the team is right now?
It's good. We're obviously 0-1 is not the way we wanted to start, but no one's hanging their head. Everyone's looking at ways to improve, and really looking forward to going on the road in a tough environment and going out there and trying to get a win. I think everyone's really focused, huge sense of urgency, and we've been practicing like both. I think it's both. You got to be prepared for the blitz at any time, and they can dial it up whenever they want. So we got to be on top of that, and we got to communicate. Starts up front, starts with me with the protection calls and everyone being on the same page, and then obviously getting it protected and getting the ball. Like again, it comes down to execution, man. It could be one block here and there. It could be the way I pass the ball. It could be the runner. It could be anything. It just comes down to all 11 guys executing the plan, and like I said, we didn't have a bunch of them, but we had a couple, and just didn't work out for whatever reason. But I look forward to getting another opportunity, because I think our guys are going to do a lot better with that. And our fans travel well. They're always in attendance and making us kind of feel at home sometimes. But when you go on the road, obviously it's going to be hostile. We know that the Lions are, they've been talking up this season for the entire offseason, and their fans are going to be excited. They won a big game last week, and home opener. We expecting those guys to, really come out and show up for the team, and so we can handle that. We've been in those situations, and it's going to be a huge test for us, but we're ready for it. I believe we're ready for it. Job of just reminding guys of who we are as a team. Whenever you have a tough loss like that, you can kind of start looking around and say, hey, what's going on? But we got to know who we are as a team, and that's something that we're a confident bunch, and we got to continue to remain confident and continue to play with that swagger and that energy. And so that was his huge message, is just be confident and have that energy.
Last year, my only year, made some plays there, and it was a lot of fun.
you were able to do something that very few people have done, and that is intercept Jared Goff. Why has he been able to go so long without throwing an interception? What is it about his style?
Honestly, he's just a really good quarterback, smart guy with the ball, makes the right decisions, and has a great O-line. And when you mix that in with great receivers, it's hard to throw interceptions when you got a real good 3 of those combos. And I feel like he uses it real well. And, it's hard to throw interceptions when you do that.
Who had the loudest voice in the locker room this week as everybody was regrouping?
Really, Bobby. Bobby played a big role because, Bobby being here, this is like Bobby's really first and second home. He been here longer than everybody on the team. So, really, Bobby got like a strong voice. People like to listen to him. And just the guy that he is, he carry a lot of weight with him because, he knows what to do in different situations because he done seen almost every single one of them. So, with a guy like Bobby speaking up, a lot of guys trust him because, one, he our leader, and two, he a guy you can trust, and he been here. Cool dude, I was at the Pro Bowl with him. He a nice dude, but, man, he a real good receiver, too. So, just a guy like him, having him on your team, it makes it easier for somebody to go to. And whenever you're a great quarterback like Goff and able to use 14 and the different receivers they have, you can have team success.
A lot of it is you could do a combination of things. Obviously, guys get used to rushing together. Is with that and the communication and guys kind of getting a feel for how they rush together. But that's whether it be in the rush and in the coverage, that's what third down is. That's what 2-minute is the ability to win in one-on-one situations.
How much of what you saw on Sunday was to be expected? And I don't mean final numbers. I mean exactly what you were saying. Guys getting used to rushing together or the entire defense playing together.
The thing that I was excited about, encouraged about, was obviously the run game. That's been a big focus, obviously coming off of last season, and the guys accomplished that. And now you got to continue to do that week after week. But you saw what the emphasis was. Obviously, third down pass rush coverage is always a big emphasis too. But for me, you just saw some things. You saw some guys obviously getting some work in the secondary that are still getting used to each other, playing together, guys that are missing time. And you got the same thing with rushers and new additions and all that we're excited to have, and just working through some tough moments. Obviously, that's what practice is for. But obviously, the game expands. You got to get that stuff down, and we'll make those improvements. No excuses, though.
Sounds like
You already know we got to be better in a one-on-one rush. There was times that obviously we needed to be significantly better than what we were. And there's others where he can see things, he can figure out the coverage. You're dealing with a veteran quarterback, multi-time Pro Bowl guy that can see some stuff, and the ball gets out pretty quickly. So there's times where you always hear me say it's always rush and coverage works together, because it's very true. There's times where the ball could come spinning out fast where the rush doesn't have a chance. But we want to be tight and have a feel and understanding of routes and what's coming. So the same anticipation that the quarterback plays with, we can play with. And the times that the coverage does a great job of disguising and holding, they can go to the second progression. And definitely on the third progression, then obviously as rushers, we got to be there. We got to at least be able to get them off the spot. That's the area of obviously big improvement for us that we got to be.
Just being able to execute it at a high level through 4 quarters, and we talked about that. We know we want to be a consistent offense, and that wasn't our best showing obviously in the second half. And having those 3 and outs happen the way they did, the effectiveness of us as an offense on third down, we know is imperative to playing good complementary football. And we move forward, look at those corrections. It's always all 11, starting with the coaches and then moving on to the players of how we execute, how we handle some of that adversity that we did face in the second half. So feeling confident we were able to get those corrections done, move forward, get into a Wednesday practice, now on to Thursday, and ready to move forward and go against a really good Detroit Lions. The situations that we did in the second half, go through a first half where we don't punt the football. We have a couple chances there maybe to finish with touchdowns instead of field goals. I know that, but first game. And then I think in the second half, starting with me, when things aren't perfect in the first part of that first series where we go out there with the 3 and out, coming back with that mindset of we don't need to press, we don't need to try harder or do anything different. We need to really go back to our fundamentals and really execute at a high level. And not without getting into specifics of all 11 and play calls and all that stuff. It's just going back to fundamentals and really trusting training, trusting all this practice work, and executing at the highest level like we do out here every single day, like we did throughout training camp, and feeling confident about doing it that way moving forward. Great rusher and Hutchinson there, and then just like last week when we faced Aaron Donald, you face an elite pass rusher like he is transitioned to in this league. He's going to garner a lot of attention right there, but making sure that doesn't take away from the other guys, and we know that the Lions historically, they brought, Coach Clint does a great job with the multitude of blitz packages. They varied every single season, every single week. So being ready to be prepared to adjust and adapt on the fly in the course of the game to anything that we see newness, but also just again going back to fundamentals, going back to our rules, and really trusting, for the guys to trust themselves and everyone around them to do the right thing.
There you have it. As I said, Rick Woolen, and you heard from Geno Smith, Shane Waldron, and also Clint Hurtt. So what is the common denominator, and what is that needs to happen for the Seahawks to win against Detroit? Well, look, first of all, the defense has to make Detroit one-dimensional. Right now, after one game, it's only one game, the Lions have the 7th-ranked offense, and it's a balanced attack that is led by Jared Goff. If Jared Goff, against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, he was 22 of 35 for 253 yards with 1 touchdown. And Bobby talked about it early in the week, Bobby Wagner. Look, this is a quarterback in form. He reads his progressions, and he is patient. So they've got to find a way to get Wagner in the backfield, along with either, Uchenna Nwasu. Can you get Darrell Taylor in there? Can you get Boye Mafe, in the backfield? Can you make him feel uncomfortable? And that's what you have to do. And then once you do that, you got to stop the run. So, tall task, but so far what we're seeing and hearing is the Seahawks say, look, we know what we have to do, and we're ready for the mission at hand. Now, as far as the offense is concerned, they can't go 2 for 9 on 3rd down. That's what they did last game. They scored 13 points in the first half and then 0 in the second half. You just can't do that against any NFL team. You've got to play 4 quarters, and you heard Shane Waldron talk about, look, we've got to play consistent. We have to execute. So we'll just have to wait and see if that happens. And what the other point is, will Jason Peters, the 19-year veteran, start at left tackle, right? And because you've got Abe Lucas is on the 4-week, he's out for 4 weeks, so that means he's on the IR. So because of a chronic knee issue, and Jake Kern might step up there, but Charles Cross also has a big toe. And, who's going to start at the tackles, and how will that determine how the offense execute? We'll just have to wait and see. For the CascadiaSports.net report, I'm Osvita Mare.